After a somewhat busy offseason, it's time to get right into the regular season and hopefully make our way back to the playoffs. What's going on, guys? Jay Hoyt back with you today. Welcome back to episode number 23 of our franchise mode with the Buffalo Sabres. We are back here at the start of the regular season, and we had a good preseason battle, right? Lots of good, healthy competition on the back end especially, and in net, because as you guys remember last year, we had, it was a Gabriel Diagle in the AHL to start, and he stayed there the entire year because he wasn't really like super doing well, but like was doing above average. And then going into this year was like, all right, we got 3 goalies, 2 of which were in the NHL last year, both of which did pretty well, and then they led us to the playoffs. So we made it to second round, right? We lost to, was it Pittsburgh? I think it was, because we beat somebody, and then we made it to Pittsburgh, I think, if I remember correctly. It's been like 10 days or something since I've recorded, and if not even longer than that. But either way, we are on NHL once again at the start of the regular season, and here's going to be our roster to kind of start out the year. And there's one thing that we're going to talk about here in a second, and of course, we try not to make many changes, but this one might be necessary for the future of this franchise. But a similar looking lineup, right? We have Benson, Thompson, and Batherson on the top line, Kulich, Savoy, and Tuck on the second line, Lafreniere, Cousins, and Hemming on the third line, and then Ritchie, Oslin, and Kapanen on the fourth line. So we didn't really get a fourth line center this year because I'm kind of sick of getting random guys to put there when I know we have players that are capable of being in the NHL, but just either, like, I don't like putting a playmaker on the fourth line. Like, it's just something I hate seeing and I don't like doing. But, like, he's earned his way, right? You look at what Oslin's done over the last, while, is like when you go back to even when he first started, like 31 points, like jumped up 48, 50, 61, 78, 68. Last year, he split the year with 28 points in the AHL, came up 15 points. I think he was on the third line, or maybe he started up there and then ended. I don't remember. But he deserves to be up here. But there's just never any room for him because our center depth is absolutely insane. So he's going to be up here on the fourth line. He doesn't really fit, the scheme fit too well. He wants to be on the second line, or at least his scheme fits best on the second line. But with the amount of talent we have, we just can't get him up there. But before we move on to defenseman, right, the one player I want to talk about is actually on the right-hand side, Alex Tuch. So he's been our second line guy. I mean, before he was kind of first line, then Batherson came along, and then him, and then Tuch and Thompson both were getting like crazy amounts of goals, and he kind of fell off in a way. So the last couple of years, ever since that career year of 42 goals, 51 assists with that 93 points overall, he has not been the same player. Now, I don't know what's changed since then, because when you look at his minutes, the last couple of years have all been very consistent. Right when he was on the first line, he was averaging a little bit more than 20 minutes a game, 21 minutes a game. And it decreased a little bit, but still, like, his year that he had that career year, he had the 93 points. So I'm not sure what's going on with him. I mean, he is 34 years old. His overall is declining. And then ever since he's been kind of a full-time NHLer, he's always had more than 70 points, with the exception of the last 2 years, right? You look back, even his time in Vegas, I mean, let's just say when he got to Buffalo. Let's use that as the example, because those couple of like half years and not really full seasons. But once he got here, right, 79 points, 70 points, 70 points, 89 points, 76 points, 93 points, 67 points, and then 60 points. Part of that could be due to who he's playing with Kulich over here, kind of taking away some of those goals. But even then, like, he's not doing tremendously either, right? I mean, he's got almost 20, but 55 points, 43 last year. I mean, he's not really a crazy point getter. I mean, even then, Lafreniere, I don't think, I mean, I guess a little bit more than Kulich did last year. But him and Kulich kind of bounced around a little bit, back and forth on that line. So I guess that could be part of the reason. But I don't know. I feel like it might be time for Tuck to go in this one to get somebody else in there just due to the decline of him, right? Ever since that big year, he hasn't been the same player. Plus, like, we have, Novikov waiting. We have the possibility of making a trade, trying to get the most out of him in a potential, big blockbuster trade, trying to get somebody in, get maybe like a higher-end playmaker, sniper-ish player, and then we could put the sniper up on the top line even. That way Thompson doesn't have to, be that superstar really, and we could let Benson and that other person do it. And then we have the young talent there, so I'm not really worried about that. But then also on the back end, right, we have Dahlin and Dansk. We're going to continue that pairing from last year. And then I really hate to do what I'm about to do because it's never usually been the player or the franchise mode owner, GM, that I normally do. But we put Parks up here on the second line with Owen Power. And both, were up here last year, right? Power, I think, has been kind of figuring it out recently, right? Ever since he came up and I guess a couple of down years. But that he's been doing fine. Like, obviously, playing second line behind Dahlin. He hasn't really been that offensive force that we kind of need him to be. But and then we also have Parks down here as well, who is now in his second full year, going to the third full year. And he's needs to be up on a top line, right? I'm not going to be paying somebody, big money to play the third line and then, go from there. So something I don't normally do is put double lefties on a line, right? And then the third line has double righties, which again is not something I usually do, but luckily due to the couple of signings we had and the ability for Jack Thompson here to play both the left and right side, that allows both of them to actually be perfect green check marks for the scheme fit. So that works. That gives me a chance to bump up Parks with the 85 overall, and hopefully that unlocks him a little bit. And then we have Power there as well, so hopefully that will be a good duo there with Dansk doing his defensive thing up on the top line with Dahlin. It should be pretty good. To the crease, though, Daigle back up in the NHL, right? 90 overall, 23 years old. And Klang as our backup, right? Both of these guys performed the best in the preseason. Obviously, we still have Hummel. He is down in the AHL. I don't want to be so cutthroat, but at the same time, like, we kind of have to be, right? We need to get victories, and we are fighting for every point, every win, everything, every single game. And we're going to move on from there. So let's get ready to the regular season and see what this team can do. All right, let's go to the end of the month here and see how this team ends up starting off. I forgot I offered an RFA a contract because there was still, I think, one player left that was an RFA that had a decent overall. So always going to try to steal some players if we can. But all right, let's get this first month done. We got a couple overtime losses. Apparently I'll have to do the trade block at the end of this and get that all sorted and squared away. Let's get a couple more games in there. 6-5-2, not a bad start. Let's go fix the trade block and get right back into it. All right, we fixed the trade block finally, and here we go. Let's get some wins now. Getting losses is not what we want here. So entering into end of November, Thanksgiving time, losses. We don't care about the RFAs because I don't think we have any. We have a very tight division. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm going to take a quick peek and just kind of see how everything's going, but then we'll probably get right back into it. All right, things are looking interesting, right? Thompson's not our top point getter right now, which is very interesting. Savoy is on our second line. Oh, I see a lot of losses in there. A lot of losses. Oh boy. Oh my gosh, there's so many losses. I just don't understand how we can go from doing totally fine to just losing like every single game imaginable. Like, I just never understand that. Right? The month of, is this December? Was like, what is this? After the overtime win versus New Jersey, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 losses out of 12 games. Or if you really want to get technical, we were 2-11 in the month of December. How does that just happen? Because we went for like fighting in a very close division to losing legit 11 out of 12 games. Well, a very disappointing, start to the year after that big, what was it, 11 games in a row or something like that, 11 out of 12 games in a row that we did absolutely terrible on. It kind of pushed us out of the playoff race. You know, if we get the opposite of that, actually go on a little bit of a run at the end of the year, we might have a chance. We might be able to sneak in, but man, that was a rough first half of the year. What to do now, right? Do we attempt to try to make some trades? Do we try to change up the coaching staff to get everybody on a more friendly scheme fit? What do we do? Do we change up lines? What do we change up? Because there's so much wrong with our team, but I feel like no matter what I do, nothing ever gets fixed, regardless of how many changes we make. But either way, for now, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up here. We got to go to the drawing board real fast with this one. If you did enjoy, hit the like button down below if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure to subscribe. And as always, guys, we'll see you in the next